Hi everyone, happy Saturday morning. It is Saturday oh my god, I have no idea. I live in a timeless void. It is Saturday the 26th of September, all year. The year nearly done. I don't know what happened to it. It was just April. I don't know what's happening. It's crazy. Um, as I'm sure y'all are aware, we as creatives, we've been under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress in the last few months. We've always been under pressure and stress. I think we eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but this is extra. This is hard. It's hitting the whole planet very, very hard. And I've had a lot of time to sit at home, spend time with my family, plot for ways to get away from my family, failing that because there's another lockdown. And now I have come up with this creative resilience series where I am talking to lots of different creatives from all around the world and seeing what their thoughts are on what's happening and trying to figure out, explore, examine ways for us to reclaim our mental health and also turn this pandemic into an opportunity, maybe, perhaps, right? I work in film. I'm a producer, a director, a location manager. I'm a fixer. I work with international films and small international documentary productions, things like that. So I have a few credits in that department, and I'm also one of the producers of the film Sally's Way, which is an award-winning feature family film from Trinidad and Tobago, the first ever actually, made in 2014, 2015. And we won 6 awards, and we were seen in 15 cities in 9 countries around the world. So I know a little bit about film. And in 2012, yes, in 2012, I worked on a film called Home Again. And Lisa Wickham, I'm sure you all know who Lisa Wickham is. If you don't, Google her. She's amazing. Recruited me to work as a location assistant on this project. It was a film coming in from Canada, and they were bringing in all these Canadian film professionals, and we were a little intimidated and stuff. But we had no idea what was coming and the scale of this production and the work it was going to take. And that's how I met my guest, who I'm going to bring in just a second. We all know him as Kenny, but his name is Ken A. Smith, and he is a film professional. He identifies as a second AD. And that is the role in which I met him and learned ever so much from him. I really do think of him as my film father, because I learned so much from him, not just the actual details of the work, but the approach, the positive attitude, the creative problem solving, the patience, the tolerance, the willingness to teach, and to put a lot of time and effort into showing me in particular what was expected of me, and then supporting me in getting it done. And that is everything. So without any further ado, I'm gonna bring in Kenny. Hi, Kenny.
Hello, hello, hello. And how are things in my warm other country?
Things are interesting here.
There's that word.
It's interesting, like the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times,
Uh-huh.
because it's wonderful in a way to spend this kind of time with myself and with my family. And it's caused me to really reflect and look back on my life, which, because I'm one of those people who moves on, we were talking about, but we had a whole show before the show.
We chatted a bit, yeah.
And because, I'm one of those people who is always able to move on, but right now there's nothing to move into. It's, it's all very uncertain. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. I think that's how people feel all over the world. What's it like for you guys there and for creatives there right now in Canada?
Well, no, it's not different from what you're describing there, really. And it is. It's a global situation that we've all found ourselves in. Who knew that such a thing would even be possible? But also, what you said a little bit earlier in your introduction there is it's a time for me, to recenter, sit back, and know that okay, everything isn't going to go on exactly the way it has been going on for decades. So what do we do? How do we find opportunities within this new thing? And that's why we're creatives. There hasn't been a show that I've been on ever in years that okay, how do you schedule a show? Let's just go back to that. Well, you get the script and there's scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. If you were doing a theater piece, you'd rehearse it that way and you'd have act 1, act 2, act 3, and then everybody stand up and applaud. It'd be great. And I've done that for about 15 years professionally before I got into film. Film goes, okay, here's scene 1, here's scene 23, here's scene 4, here's scene 59. And that's how we're going to shoot them because that's where the locations are or whatever. So we're not linear in that sense. It's like, okay, we have to be creative about how to get this story told. And I think a lot of people are finding, let's do the COVID broadcast from my living room. Let's do, the 2-minute short. And there's competitions going on now. It's gotten that far in well, Canada's been in lockdown. They just announced today like 200 days of lockdown, which is, fat side of half a year. And we're no way getting out of it for, we'll be, I'm sure we'll be in this for another half year.
You feel then that the society there has been really responsive in a positive way to the pandemic in terms of these things you're talking about, creating competitions, you all get grants, like you all have grants and stuff for creatives to continue their work?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing actually in terms of the amount of support. But even things like TIFF, film festival, international, second, if even second now to Cannes or whatever, and that's all going on. That just finished on Sunday, all online. So that's how all of those things are adapting. Most of the film festivals are carrying on. I mean, the Trinidad Film Festival is carrying on. The Caribbean Tales Film Festival is carrying on. Yeah. So, okay, it's not the same as everybody sitting there and, hey, can I have some of your popcorn while we watch this thing? I know. Well, make your own bag of popcorn. What's the matter with you people?
We live and online.
No, you sit there and like you eat it away with your left hand, and you stick your left hand in to steal some, and then it just feels like you got a buddy. It's good. It's so you have to come up with these reinventions all the time, and yes, it can be exhausting, and yes, it can be depressing at times to go, man, like there's no solid rock to stand on anymore. Everything's gone away. Everything's shifted. No, it hasn't. It's just a different rock. It's like people, we're going through this in our generation. This is the first crisis that we've had to encounter because we have been so blessed. There's been no real international crisis that's affected us, as opposed to like great grandparents or parents said, okay, if you were born in 1900, you got World War I, you got Spanish flu, you got World War II, you got, that's like hundreds of millions of people that have been lost through those adventures. Yeah. Should I call them something that irreverent? And we're still here. The human species is still here. We're still telling stories. We're still carrying on.
In your time in the creative industries in Canada, have you seen like that evolution of the infrastructure to reach to the point today where you seem like, I'm stressed. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, I'm fully stressed about the future of my creative life here. There's a grant I don't know what's going on with it. I haven't received it. Some people have gotten, some people haven't gotten yet. They're like, oh, they're rolling it out. It's a one-time $5,000 grant.
That's in TNT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One-time $5,000 grant for creatives, and you have to jump through a few hoops naturally.
Right.
Answer some questions, things like that, and that's pretty much it, as far as I can tell. And get this, there's like people are upset, like people who don't see themselves as creatives.
Right.
Yeah, like why we giving creatives all of that? Creative is not a full-time work here anyway.
Right.
And
that's
for me.
No matter which pandemic or crisis or world war or whatever, or happy celebration time, it all boils down to, I think we're still humans, and it's still a little bit lizard tail of we should all share everything equally as long as my cave's a little prettier. Okay. I'd like to share with everybody as long as my cave's a little better. Cool. Everybody good with that? And there's always going to be, and that's to me, that's the source of so many of the stories that we tell. I mean, what are we as creatives? We don't, we don't build a house. We don't, grow the food that we eat. We reflect on and comment upon all of the other things that are going on in society, and basically hold up a mirror to ourselves.
And that has value. That has.
Oh, well, exactly, it's like when all of this started happening, and all the everything was shut down in terms of public anything, and everybody's going, well, I got Netflix. Well, who the heck made Netflix? It's all of us. Or I can go read a book, or I've got a radio play that I can listen to.
Dissonance is killing me, and this is something I was reading the Artist Coalition here, led by a guy called Rubadiri Victor, who's been really working tirelessly to improve the sector, always taking everybody on board and stuff, and just hammering at the walls, Right. And one of the things he was talking about is the need for us to value these contributions. And what I appreciate about him is that he broke it down to money. He was like, this is the investment, this is the possible return, this is the viability. And I felt like that was so clear, but I just don't know if anybody's really going to be listening to that. And I want to support that and create a platform for that, because I think that kind of thing is what led to sort of like the evolution of things over by Olia. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. No, and that's all the anecdotal stories of how many artists were not recognized in their time, and then their paintings or their works are selling for millions of dollars after they passed. That's still, I think, part of the and when we were talking before the show a little bit, you're talking about being a pioneer and industry and that. And to me, that's one of the things that I know within myself, is that whatever I'm doing as a contributor to the creative process may and or may not be recognized instantly by my peers or the world at large. But I know that I'm, putting my best into telling whatever story it is, even if it's, I've done some pretty schlocky shows in terms of what the subjects are and the writing of them, just because you get into the machine. That's the other downside. Once you hit a certain volume, there's a lot of it that is just being done to fill the space. And then there's other passion projects like Home Again, like almost everything that I have seen come out of TNT.
Well,
these are passion projects.
What I'm hearing is that even as a full-time professional creative in encouraging infrastructure where things work, you still have to kind of make strategic decisions about what you're going to do for love.
Yes.
And what
and that's certainly as life has gone on. I have been oh my fortunate beyond. I have never really had to do anything but work in the entertainment world from the time I was 20. So that's, 50 plus years. Oh, don't anybody do the math. We're bad at math. But all of those, that has employed me. And no, Jeff Bezos and I don't go out for lunch every day, but we're not quite in the same financial bracket, but I've made a comfortable life with it.
Did you ever have a moment where you were like, fuck this, I go in and do something else. I go in and do accounting or sport.
It was, no,
man.
Loris, I'm of a very simple mind. It's like I only got 6 or 7 brain cells, and they're all locked into being a second AD. So no, they've never wandered off. The closest that ever came was in the 80s when there was a pretty major downturn in the industry here, and there just wasn't the work. So okay, what else are we going to do to fill in? But no, and that is one of the the luxuries that we have in this country, is that it has been possible to make a relatively comfy career out of doing what I love doing, so without having to put on 7 different hats.
It's like Tarzan, right? Where you swing from vine to vine to vine.
Yeah, show to show to show.
You have like a few less vines, but still you can swing. It's just like
you got to swing a little harder to get to the next one. No, and getting back to some of the the angst or challenges that I'm sure you guys feel. That being said, that I've always gone from job to job. There's never been certainty. Every time I finish a show, it's like, well, that could be it.
Yeah,
that could be it. Yeah. And somebody rang. Okay, that's been 2 days or 2 weeks.
What is it that keeps you like knowing that the phone is going to ring? That what makes you, because that what you just said there, it feels like a choice to me.
It's
between saying, oh Lord, that job just done, I wouldn't get another job like that. No, something come, I so lucky, as opposed to something's gonna come, I'm pretty confident, and when it comes, you're very, you know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a bunch of things. Is there's certainly a greater frequency of jobs. More vines are going to show up in this jungle in the north than it does in some other places, so that's cool. But it's really, I think, what has done it, because there's, I certainly know other people that have not been as fortunate, trying to do the same, relatively the same path.
Right.
And it's building, and this is one of the key things that I think that you guys, since Home Again, are developing, and it takes time to do, is building networks, building. It's not a one-man game. Certainly, film is a team sport. It's not a one-off. I mean, I can. That's
something I want to zero in on a little bit. I feel like that is a big, crippling thinking. I don't know how I'm saying this, but it's something that kind of cripples creatives here.
Absolutely, and that's like you say, that's 2012. That's we're almost a decade since Home Again, which is sort of my ground zero for so many things in my life. You guys might have been amazed at what we brought down and we're asking for you. We were, without exception, and myself, I mean, I've been back there once or twice a year every year since.
Yes.
Just because, yes, it's nice and warm, but the people are the heat and the excitement and the energy, and that's developing slowly, and it takes time. It takes time to recognize that, yes, you can all wear 7 different hats, but you probably each have a hat that you like better than the others. And all of those hats are needed to make a successful film equally. Whether
I think one of the things that's really kind of fueled that evolution so swiftly compared to maybe other established industries in other countries is the cost of being in the biz, the tech.
That's the exponential growth of technology is like, oh my God,
Yeah, I mean, I'm here right now. I'm using this app, a free app called StreamYard.
And here we are. And here we are.
Studio, it works really well. I'm pretty happy with it. and I get 20 hours a month of free live broadcast. And I think I'm like, okay, StreamYard, yes, put your logo in my corner. I don't mind.
Well, no, and it's all of those things that everybody should take as very much positive increase in opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's that's like the people Stephen, because I watched a couple of his Stephen Taylor,
Yes.
his at home videos that he's done in the COVID situation, and yeah, you're everybody can make something at home with their own camera and put it out there for 2 minutes or half an hour or whatever. That's good and that's wonderful, and that gets the story out and shows you what you can do with the technology. But the more you bring together the creative team and develop specialties in each of the facets of what filmmaking is about, just the better the product is going to be.
How do I'm a leader of a creative organization, right? I want to make a film, and so, having worked here, having worked there, having seen things work here and not work there, vice versa, blah, 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 right? What would be some of the steps you would recommend to somebody to build a team? Like, how do you choose a team? How do you build that?
Yeah, that's a challenge no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Because certainly even with the network of people that I've been privileged to work with and know, certainly some projects are way more successful than others, just from a functionality point of view, because it only takes one bad apple spoils the blah 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 is not.
Tell me one thing that makes you, Kenny, at this point, 40 plus years in the biz, what makes you go ding ding ding, I'm doing this project? At this point, I imagine you're selective, or are you?
Increasingly so, for sure. Because it's, after that many years of doing it, it's, why do I really want to be doing this 14, 15 hours a day? Because that's what it takes.
You're Kenny out.
Yeah. And
a friend.
it's the story.
Right.
If I can be so lucky. And then it's the people that are involved with it. And we've had this conversation over the years many times. Anybody that's got a project that can figure out how to get me airfare and, I don't know, maybe half a dozen stag, I'm in.
Right.
Because the thing that I think a lot of what I consider to be my closest friends in the world are TNT people, and a lot of I don't think realize just how amazing your creative energy is and how absolutely solid your commitment to, we're going to get it done, whether we know the easy way or not, we're going to get it done. And that is a strength that collectively you have that I don't think has functionally settled in yet, because it's still new. It's been less than a decade for me that the film industry there has grown as much as it has. And believe me, in Canada, in the US, wherever, there's still frustrations, there's still difficulties, there's still all the challenges of, well, this didn't work and that cost too much, and now there's rules and regulations, and everybody wants to get unionized. Yeah, well, if you do that, then we can't do this, blah blah blah. So that's a double-edged sword. All of that's not going to go away no matter where you are.
Right.
That's fine because it's bashing at those walls, if you will, that makes you be more creative and more.
I always hear this story from Obama, where he said, when he started off, he was in these little town hall meetings and stuff as a counselor, and he said, I've got to move up the chain and get with the people who know what's up. So he moved up, he's now like a mayor. And it's like, he's like, God, these people are idiots. I still need to,
go further.
And he goes up, he's the governor. And he's like, God damn it, these people are still here. He becomes the president and he's like, it's the same people.
And here they all are. Yeah. No,
So
and
I think that's really encouraging. I appreciate that. I mean, it's a sort of a positive message of pessimism in a kind of way, but I
yes,
do appreciate the reality that, it I have nothing nowhere. The grass is not greener. That's kind of some of the feedback.
no, well, and that's certainly in terms of volume. Yes, there are more opportunities in in North America or Europe or whatever than there is necessarily in the Caribbean, just purely on a volume basis. In terms of merit of story, no way. They're like the stories that I see being captured and presented are amazing, and the work ethic. I mean, come on, you guys put on Carnival every year. If you can work out the logistics of that sucker, making a movie is like, okay, let's do that. Let's do that on lunch break. We'll go make a movie. Now we're back to doing Carnival.
I think Carnival is a bit of a blessing, a double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword. Most things are. Yeah.
Because the cyclical nature of Carnival encourages a sort of a mentality that both works for and against creatives, local creatives, in my opinion.
Okay.
There's this sense of you can't use anything from last year. Right? But I could love a Kelly Clarkson song for 5-10 years and you'll hear it on the radio for 20 years.
Right.
We're playing Since You've Been Gone and everybody dancing. Right? But if you play a Marshall Montano from 2006, something wrong with you because there's this sort of way that we date our work, and that makes us not go back. And because that's one of the things that I'm going through now. I'm going back and I'm looking because I move on so well because I'm money as well.
You gotta be
now and then move on. And what I'm realizing is that I have done so many things that had value in and of themselves, and those things deserve to have their place in the sun. Those things deserve to become and have and be seen. And it shouldn't have just been, oh, I did it for 400 people and that's it, and I'm never going to do that again.
Right.
So I want to see that change. And that's the thing, about the Sisyphus effect, that I was talking about on the last one. How do you manage that Sisyphus effect, that moment between vines?
It's exactly what you're saying. I think it's looking within yourself and recognizing that the skill set that you developed on the last one and the one before that and the one before that now makes you a person of value. And that's, as much as the opportunities of, bunches of options of different projects coming up. Why have I been able to keep working? It's because, without getting my arm too twisted and patting my back, it's because you build up specific skill sets that other people recognize as, okay, if we need somebody to do this job, this guy's going to give it a fair shot. So let's get him as opposed to Joe. And that's how you build. That's getting back to, like, if you're the head creative and how do you build your team? That's how I think you do it. You search out and you pick known people that have built their skill sets, and then you work on the personalities, because there's all sorts of teams. There's all sorts of teams, and that I have worked with as well, and said, okay, like, there's nothing against you in terms of how you're a first AD or a third AD or a producer or whatever. You're just not my first AD, my producer, or because I'm not going to mesh with you.
Well, that's one of the things that I really appreciated about working with you. There was never this sense of negative emotion.
No, and try to keep that to a minimum.
No, and you were really good at the positive emotion, right? So I remember 2012, set the scene, right? Luris meets Kenny for the first time, right? She's like, I'm the location manager. Kenny's like, I'm the second AD. Then she says, what am I supposed to do, Kenny? And he's like, well, I'll tell you, Lewis. And he proceeds to tell me. I proceed to have a nervous breakdown.
Right there, right now. Well, then, yeah.
And Kenny's like, let me guide you through this nervous breakdown process. You have about an hour, and then I'll need you to deliver these 16,000 things to my desk.
Yeah,
otherwise, the production is going to fail.
Wow. And there is 15,998 of them sitting on the desk. So, okay, we're down 2. I think I can live with that.
No, but I mean, the way that you interact with people, your positivity, I've wanted to punch you in your face for it. I'm not going to lie.
If you have more than a single digit IQ, that will be something that will live with you forever. Yes.
When I am exhausted on that set, right? Because on that film in particular, I didn't get much night sleep.
Really?
So, yeah, no, not at all. Imagine that. So you all would finish filming at 12.
And then Lewis would go to work.
Get all the trucks, pack up all the trailers, wrangle the truckmen and the various family members who was always with them for some reason.
No, it was pretty incredible.
It was supposed to be. And then spend 3 hours setting up there. And then get home at 4 a.m. just in time to bathe and shower. And
so you can go back at it again.
All time at 5:30. And then you chip mofos come in breakfast ready?
Yeah, gonna kill you dead. Yeah. No, it's a relatively tough master, this film business.
Yeah.
But the thing that, and I think just one of the other underlying things that I use to try and stay positive. You're painting a very nice picture of me that some people might take exception to. It's like DPs that have had umbrellas thrown at them and little things like that. Never mind. We'll move on from there. But the essence of what we do is play with imagination, and we create some sort of reality with our stories. And I don't think it's stuck just to film, but to
1 second.
To tell a story, to hold up a mirror. And so if that's the purpose of what we're doing, then we all need to collaborate and we all need to support each other, as opposed to, there's enough adversity just from doing the tasks at hand without getting in each other's way and saying, well, she's such and such and he's such a so-and-so and I don't know why he does that.
Truth on the table. What's the worst production that you ever worked on in terms of the relationship aspect?
There was a small, low budget. It's the only show that I have ever quit.
Right.
There's only been one in 35 years.
You ever quit? That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it was just like, I can't, from my position, I cannot fix this enough.
Yeah.
To make it accept. And it was getting into what I considered to be dangerous circumstances, because there just wasn't, they were way trying to overachieve what they had the resources to do. And there were a couple of people that were theoretically driving the bus that thought basically the human resources were expendable. And that just must never be in my mind.
Yeah.
We're doing something that's going to be entertaining or amusing or reflective or whatever about the human species. We're not curing cancer. We're not solving COVID. Yeah. We're doing something that is to be supportive and positive, whether you're making a horror story or the most dramatic, insightful thing in the world or the best comedy show going. It's simply a mirror on who we are as a species, which is hugely valuable, but it's not something to kill yourself over. It just isn't. And so we need to collaborate.
I fully hear you on that. I hear, a lot of love in the things that you are saying. Love of the craft, love of the people, love of the camaraderie and the relationships that are built on set. And I'm also hearing you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that sort of a motivation, that sort of way, that sort of way of seeing your work helps you to stay on course when things are tough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean, the relationships, there's some that, like you and I, approaching a decade. A couple of others I was talking about, like Megan and Avril, who was the head the head inspiration for Home Again in terms of the workforce. Those have been 30 plus year relationships, and there's others that have been, like 4-month relationships, but extremely intense at the time. And then, oh yeah, right, I remember Ralph. Oh God, I wonder where he is now. That's been,
how many people would you imagine that you've worked with over your career? Could you quantify that? Is that something?
Sorry, you cut out just at the very beginning. The what that I could?
Oh, I said, how many people do you imagine that you've worked with during your career?
Oh my God.
You could quantify that in any way? Like, would you be like,
let's say in a Canadian production, you're somewhere between probably 80. This is just like the on the floor people, not the post and all of that. 80 to 180 people per show. And okay, so let's just do 100 because that's easy. And let's say I've done 5 shows a year, so that's 500 times 40, so 20,000, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a few repeats in there, so that's not all new. So. Wow, that's a chunk of math that I've never done. Wow.
It's all about crunching the numbers.
Yeah, and I remember at least 7 of them, so it's great.
Some of the things you're talking about really kind of bring the phrase back to me that, hell is other people. And
no, absolutely. No, you're the only one that can make you happy, and you're the only one who can really make you sad.
All right. So
I don't care who you are.
I take that on board to a huge degree. I feel like I've worked with a lot of people who don't see themselves as powerful in the relationship. They believe that, that they give up their power without even being aware that this is a choice that they had, and then they believe when things don't go the way that they expected, even though they have not vocalized these expectations in any way, shape, or form, that they have been victimized.
No, for sure. And believe me, getting to that very, very illuminated point in my mind did not happen in year 1 of the business. It's taken a lot of banging my head at different walls and going like, okay, how does this get to feel better? Well, stop banging your head against the wall. Oh, right. Let's go around it. What a good idea. All of that evolves. And there's certainly been points in my career where, no, I mean, I know what I'm doing and everybody should be listening to me and wire. Dude, you're part of a team. You're part of a system. There's other people that should be and can make those other decisions.
Yeah.
And then there's people that my decisions are going to impact on, and I need to make sure that what I'm asking, you're the exception, isn't going to kill them from the number of hours that they have to work.
Listen, you and Avril Fisher hit me some brutal truths on that film. You did every single one, and you had this lovely chipper smile when you were telling me, and Avril had this, yes, girl, life's hard, girl.
Yeah, just suck it up and go. No, and not to absolutely compare hour for hour, but there were various members on the crew that would say when we had a weekend or a day off, oh well, we're going to Maracas, we're hanging on the beach and blah blah blah. I never saw a beach in Trinidad until the second trip I came down there. Actually, that's not true. I went to Tobago when we wrapped Home Again. That's 2 days. That was the first beach that I saw in that whole shoot because we were working, every weekend and that's
to prep, yeah.
But that's the buzz, that's the fun, that's the okay. If we get this better, then it's going to be better tomorrow.
But even on Home Again, and I found in every single film production that I've worked on, even with the best of intentions, the best management, the best budget, There is, even if everybody's being paid well, there is always, how we say it in Trinidad, pasa and bacchanal, you
Yeah.
know, on every set. And I imagine the same thing is true in Toronto.
No, absolutely. Well, it's part of what I'm doing on this show right now, which is we've just gone to camera for the first week, but it's all the prep. So, okay, do the prep schedule. Well, okay, at 9 o'clock on Monday we're going to have this meeting. At 10 o'clock we're doing that. At 11:30 we're going to move over here and do that. Okay, and you publish that on Friday.
Yeah.
Then somewhere around Sunday afternoon you get the phone calls because this is my weekend and I've got my feet up and I'm maybe having a small beverage or whatever. Hey, getting well so and so and that can't happen and blah blah blah. So we need to move that. Right. Okay. So now what's happening at 9 o'clock on Monday is everybody's getting together and say, what the heck happened on the weekend? Because now we're in the ditch. And
Yeah.
so it constantly, constantly, constantly moves and it constantly flexes, even on the shooting floor. And that's the nature of the business.
That constant change, that constantly having to adapt to different circumstances, sometimes with a day's notice, sometimes a week's notice, and sometimes a day's notice better than a weekend. Because, it's faster, you can just deal with it. You don't have to,
Yeah, don't think about this too much. Let's just do it. Yeah.
I feel like that builds a muscle, a resilience muscle.
Oh, for sure it does. It's what it's taught me, and which I would hope to pass on. And again, it takes a while to accumulate this and actually have it resonate within any individual, is that plans are flexible, and your best way to deal with that is to have a team around you that knows it's going to change. It's like, okay, here's the plan. Timestamp this for 11:01 Monday morning. By 11:15, there's probably going to be a new plan. And so we all have to breathe in and breathe out at the same time and support each other to make this. That wasn't a problem. That was just a difference. That was just another circumstance. Because if everybody gets locked into, I'm the only one that can do this, and I need to do it all, God help you.
So I'm hearing a few things here because we were talking a little earlier about how you would make decisions around building a team, right? And I'm hearing that for you and some of the stuff that you've learned over the years is that by building a network.
Absolutely.
For sure. Network through interacting and observing other people on projects, looking at work that they've produced, meeting them socially, vibing with them. So you go to industry events, you participate in things, so you meet other people and kind of get on their wavelength and stuff like that. And then when you have a project that you're working on, you have a team of trusted people that you can call on who then make you look good and reinforce your value as well.
No, absolutely. And it's, it's like when we were talking before we went on, talking about Megan, who I've known for years, and we're back to working together after not doing that for probably 7 or 8 years. And we come up with half phrases that the other one completes. That means then we don't have to try and analyze what did the other person really mean by you want me to do what. It's like, we know. So that just moves you forward, and that saves the necessity of having to stop and explain each time with new people, or to double up and triple up on what your own individual job is. I don't have to do that. I've got people for that.
When does that go too far? Because I'll tell you, there's a perception here, mostly by newer people coming into the film and television and into that industry, that it's made up of these like closed off cliques.
No, for sure, sure, and that's the trick. And I think it's more of a trick in Trinidad and Tobago than it is right now in Toronto, because purely the game of numbers. We've here there's I don't know, let's say 800, 1,000 people that are making films in Toronto. I doubt that you've hit much past 100 people, if that are actively making films in Trinidad right now.
Absolutely.
On a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So it's easier to have a clique in Toronto go unnoticed and not be a negative thing than it is in a smaller market like TNT. And the best thing is, yes, you want allies with you on your team, but you also, I know that if you don't allow new people in and fresh people in, you're going to die. You're going to
Yeah.
stagnate somewhere along the road and die. So yes, you can still have the same executive producer or team leader, if you will, that has the overall, this is the kind of projects we do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But because the industry, technically, the industry just reinvents itself every half hour with new options and new abilities and new things. So
Yeah.
you get some old guy like me going, we're on what's it, what's app, what's okay, what's up? Okay, got it. Yeah. And I do what? And then, oh no, we're doing all of this on GoToMeeting. No, we're doing on Zoom. No, now we're just doing it on Mitch. So then you get some 17-year-old comes in, oh God, here, click this, put that over there, and that goes here. You good? Okay, cool. So you need that, and not only that, but for to stay current with the energy that's on the street. Like who is your audience? Why are we doing this? There's no reason for anybody, in my mind, in the creative industry to do anything if it's not for some sort of an audience, whether it's somebody reading your book, looking at your painting, watching your dance, going to your movie, coming to the theater. You need the other half of the coin, the other side of the coin, which is the receptor, which is the audience. So that's what we're working for.
Yeah.
And that changes every hour of every day in terms of, like try and watch a movie from the 40s, 50s and go like, oh my, even 60s, 70s, 80s. And you go like, would they get on with it?
Yeah, boy.
Like, man, oh man, we got it. Move on.
Exponentially in films, man.
Yeah, and so and we've gone to the point with that of like cut until you're having children having epileptic fits watching TV in Japan. And go, okay, maybe we should back down a notch from there.
The series would have one minuscule fight scene, per episode. Now it's like 16 fight scenes.
Yeah.
Break,
Well, and that's another danger is, to me, in terms of storytelling, you can get carried away with all those curly cues, but there's no story.
Yeah.
And that ain't gonna last.
That's like what happened to comic books.
Yeah, no, but you look at any of the series that have gone on for 4, 5, 6 years. Yes, some of them might have effects and things like, like sure, Star Trek and things is very sci-fi and wonderful. But if you don't care about the characters, you don't care.
Absolutely.
And so that, those are just all the touchstone things that I want to hang on to. And that's why I say what keeps me going now is, what is the story?
So I'm hearing you say that, you're attracted to quality.
Right? Well, yeah, and I'm the decider of what quality is. So yeah.
And you should be, at least for you.
Well, but that's to me, that is another very key thing with what is quality is everything we do in this business is subjective. Here, I'm gonna show you a script. Well, that's just the stupidest thing I ever heard of. Okay, good. You don't like that. And then it gets produced and runs for 12 years on some series that a bunch of other people like, vice versa. So every one of us, I think, needs to decide, who are we? Who am I? Why do I want to do what I do? And then who is my team? What kind of work do I want to do? And why is that important to me? Because like you're saying, you are the only you that there is. You're the only person that's going to make you happy. You're the only person that's going to make you sad. Everybody else can have a go at it, but if you don't let them in, you're going to be okay.
One of the things that I see happening, or that I perceive happening right now, is that a lot of people from other traditional industries, office workers, right, restaurants, food people, anything basically that had congregation involved, is off. A lot of people don't consider that, but it's a reality, right? So with all of these people coming onto the breadline, figuring out the next move, we have a lot of people attempting to move into the creative sector.
Okay.
Sort of saying, well, let me bone up on some skills and move into this sector. However, what I've found over the years is that when my motivation is, I just want to do this so I can make some money, it's never, it never comes out as good.
The way you want it. No, and it is another one of the smoke and mirrors tricks I think about, particularly the film industry, because you look at the superstars and they're making, you know, $100 million a picture or whatever, and you go, oh my God, this is such a money grab, wonderful thing. And certainly, you know, my own case included, the pay I get for the hours I put in is acceptable. So yes, you can do it for money, but anybody that wants to do it purely for the money and it's a quick cash grab, you're going to give up every other part of your life, basically. Like you said, how much family life did you have when you walked onto home again for the time we were shooting? Zero, de nada, none. No, I mean, I have missed daughters' graduations. There's no, okay, let's take the kids out to ball practice when I get home of the evening. That's never happened in my life. Because again, that's not the industry. So you need to know that you're willing to give up some of those very, very real things for this passion that you'd better have.
I have mentally, intellectually, and emotionally killed people for violating my ethics around work, you know, the sanctity of the work that we're doing. Right. I have people call me, and I'm working on it because I recognize that my choice is not everyone's choice, and everyone has the right to be who they are. However, you cannot tell me you're not coming to set today because it is your birthday.
Yeah, don't care. Sorry.
When scheduled to shoot you, and there are people here who are like, I am not going to work today. It is my birthday.
And, and there's, you know, and that happens here, and it's happening. I think. Like,
I'm a bitch, but I don't like it.
No, and it's this sort of. It's really an interesting tipping point, I think, even in this country, of what do you give up for this whacked out film business work that you're going to, and then how much should be protected by, you know, unions, or, well, I need a day off because it's my birthday. Okay, where is that going to land? Because I totally get it. What is having your birthday with your family more important than scene 52? Yeah, that's a subjective choice. But if you've made the choice to make the movie, then part of that choice was to be willing to give up those other things on the short term. And then I
think that's where the responsibility is balanced.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we need to, when we're bringing in someone into a film or onto production who doesn't have the experience, it needs to be like the way that you all explained to me. And give
well, no, and did any of that initially? You want me to work how many hours doing what? Did any of that make any rational sense to you?
It did, because I had worked before. Right. I had done like intense one-day shoots. I had worked on other productions. So, but I still came into it thinking, oh, we have so much time.
Yeah.
So much is already done. And I could do this and just come to work 4 hours a day. And I'll be home by lunchtime and hang out with my kid.
Let me know how that goes.
Fully 169,000% delusional. But and
it doesn't matter. I mean, I've just finished doing series that was in the neighborhood of $10 to $12 million per episode for their budget per episode. So lots of money, and it was never done. It was never enough time. It was never enough because the beauty of the human mind is that it can always conceive of something more.
Yeah.
That we want. And so again, it becomes the subjective choice of, nope, that's enough. We're only going to do it this far. Could we go further? Of course we could. You know, when you're shooting on the floor, are we lit? Well, yeah, some guy said this is good. Why? Because there was no more lights anywhere. You couldn't put another, little eye light in somebody's face or something. Of course you could. But no, we got to balance it out because we can't spend all day doing the insert on the doorknob.
I
We've
think
got to get on and do some other things.
that's the biggest caution against lone wolf work. When there's only one decision maker.
Guys, too
many. And they don't even have a round table.
Yeah.
Other people could have at least two people.
No, and that's you get writer directors or writer producers or director producers, and you say, okay, why don't you go off in the corner and have a chat with yourself and figure out what the heck we're doing, because you're at odds with each other. And the best way that that's going to come together and give you a good product is if you have two collaborative individuals that know and respect each other's area of responsibility and work towards making it the best you can. If one individual has to do that, you're definitely going to be killing one part.
I hear you on that. And I think one of the things that we suffer from here is a lack of clarity on roles and responsibility.
No, for sure.
That's a big one. And it applies to the point we were making earlier about bringing in a newbie and making it very clear to them, because they don't understand. And making it very clear to them that this is the things that are expected and these are the actions and activities that will lead to you being successful in executing this activity, as opposed to even being a co-producer. What is that relationship? How is it going to work? And I've seen terrible, and you know what I'm talking about, terrible outcomes and suffering for creatives because nobody made plans for success.
Right.
Nobody said, well, if we make $1 million off of this, this is how the $1 million we're going to spend, and this is what we're reinvesting in, and this is what we're going to do. And I feel like in Canada, there are templates, there are governing bodies, there are ways of people understanding and managing their expectations. There's a guidebook, the Canadian Film Thing Association. These are the rules for sets. This is a producer-director agreement here. This is a so-and-so picking up a lipstick. That's all I have on the table, right?
That's what makes it pretty. It works. Yeah, that's good.
Might as well put on some.
Exactly. Yeah, bring it up a bit. It's all good. Yeah.
But there's none of that here.
No, and that's but
make it up as you go along.
But it's also, I urge caution in thinking, even with all of that infrastructure laid out and all of those guidelines laid out, that's not going to guarantee you a smooth sail down the river. It just isn't. It should give you a better chance of not sinking the boat in the first half mile, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And I urge you guys. I call you guys my passion family of filmmakers.
Well, we are film babies.
Yeah, well, and mentor back and forth and boys. No, I learned so much from working with all of you on Home Again that I have lived on for the last 10 years, more than I did for the 20 years in front of it. Just in terms of the only reason anybody was there was because of passion and love to do something and to tell a story. And that is so refreshing, because the downside of all those rules and regulations and structures and unions and all of that is that it does make it easier for people to sign on board for nothing but the money.
Yeah.
At the lower, the lower row of bricks in the pyramid that needs to make a movie. And so you get people showing up on set with absolutely zero idea what the story's about or what we're doing today. I'm standing here waiting to be robot pointed over here to lift that up and put it over there. Okay, I get it. You're paying for, your house and room and board and whatever, and good, and it's a job. But they're still having to give up what I would call the normal world's life, because you're still committing to those hours. So really, is that money actually, even say you don't have a passion for it? If you don't have a passion for it, please, plumbing school is a really interesting place. You get to play with pipes and you connect things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
At this
I
point,
haven't yet discovered a single clear path.
that is really validating to hear, because sometimes I think I'm just confused, but this makes me feel like, okay, no.
You will be for a long time. It's okay. It's okay.
All right, so we have, I don't know how it went so fast, but we have been on for like an hour already.
Get out of Dodge. That's not fun.
We have, it's flying. So at this point, I wanted to just kind of go over some of the takeaways that I got from this discussion, and to just kind of wrap up a bit with you, because it's just
cool.
Lovely hanging out and talking.
I'll work at shutting up for a bit.
But one of the things that I think, some of the things that I think I've picked up from this discussion is that whether you're in Canada or you're in Trinidad and Tobago or you're in Zimbabwe or you're in Paris, there are going to be a lot of similar challenges to being a creative. It is a difficult industry, and for you, some of the things that have kept you moving forward and motivated is your passion and your love for the work, and you enjoy the camaraderie of the life. You know, that's a big one. One of the things that's worked for you is that you are good at, and I'm really good at it too. We talked about this, moving on. You know.
And that's another key point that we haven't really talked about is after I finish a project, I'm quite happy and need to take a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever off to recharge, because you can't do this 24/7, 365 year after year after year.
Oh, no.
So you have to allow yourself the necessary time, because you're going to commit yourself, like you said, 24 hours a day to doing the project and know you're not going home for your birthday. And then you need to take some time to say, so now, who am I again? Where are those people that I love in my life? I
almost feel like that's sounding like something a creative should charge for, like build in to their costing.
Well, it's the thing that I feel about the rate that you get to charge has to compensate for some downtime.
Yeah.
That
recharge aspect is a big deal, because I think a lot of creatives here, we just swing from project to project and vine to vine. And as you've pointed out, very few Trinidad and Tobago creatives that I know do one thing. We're almost all multi-hyphenated.
And that's
a director.
That's a realistic function of just where you're at in terms of evolving into the industry and growing more and more projects. So specialization is another game of numbers. You need to have X amount of volume before you can specialize. But even more so for you guys, I think it's important that you have to recharge.
That recharging, that is huge. I often do not take the time to recharge.
Yep.
I throw myself directly into, I'm like, oh, well, that's done yesterday. Time to start a new project. You know, what I do tend to do is I take mini recharges, like during the day. So I'll say, well, I'm going to do this amount of stuff today. And once I get all of these things done, then I'm going to watch Arrow, like 2 episodes of Arrow.
Right.
Or whatever.
Whatever system you work out, and it's extremely challenging, because if you don't have the cash flow coming in to buy you a 2 weeks or a month off, then you got to work out many recharges. But that in terms of the mental health of it all, that's to me absolutely key, is not to continually drive yourself to the wall without taking a minute to say, hey, I am a real person. I do deserve to have lunch occasionally, and maybe even a nap. Let's be crazy.
So as creatives who constantly we're working on different kinds of projects, we're swinging from vine to vine, it's important for us to take a moment after each project to rest, recharge, let our brain drain.
Absolutely.
The people that you was just working with and being, let's hang out, because you're just going to just get right back into that kind of headspace and stuff. And most importantly, we need to charge for the recharge.
That's again, that's you also, there's layers and layers and layers to that, because like, do you really need to have 3 Porsches in the driveway and a palace, or are you okay with something less than that? If it, you know, where's your comfort point at how much material possession do you need versus how much mental space do you need? And
Absolutely.
that's, again, the only person that can answer that is each individual.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a team sport. It's challenging and it's rewarding on so many different levels. And
Well,
just
one of the other things that you talked about that I really, really appreciated, and it kind of touches on that recharging aspect, is constant adaptation.
yeah,
You know, constant adaptation. I think in your job in particular as a second AD, you constantly have to, and you were talking about it earlier. What's it now? What's up? What was it before the blueberry? Remember the blueberry WhatsApp kind of thing it had
yeah,
before, and then
yeah.
WhatsApp took over, and what it had before that. So you know that kind of constantly not just adapting, but being confident that you can adapt. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk themselves out of skills, of building skills. They say, "Oh, I too old for that. I can't learn nothing new. I don't want to learn nothing new at this point in my life." And that's
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? Like I've heard that so many times. It depresses me, you know. So
Well,
I
it's to me, it's key to know that you don't ever know it all. And just because somebody has a different opinion doesn't mean it's a wrong opinion. Um, Take it apart, see what you can steal from the other guy and use, and then maybe it's better even just to have the other guy come with you as opposed to trying to steal all the stuff and put it in your own basket.
so what I'm hearing is that one of the keys to successful adaptation and moving on is being open to new ideas that might be contrary to my entrenched thinking.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that when those new ideas come in, instead of just rejecting them, I should be dissecting them and
And try and meet them
looking
at
for,
least halfway. Yeah.
yeah. You
Exactly.
know, there's this thing right now that I'm grappling with, right? I am fascinated by they call it Zessa music here,
Uh-huh.
right? It's terrible music. It's all about guns and gears and all of that. But I find the rhythms amazing, and I'm really into the kind of homegrown Trinidad and Tobago kind of aspect of it, you know. And I feel like it has a lot of energy. It has, you know, and I'm like, how can I integrate? How can I, with my approach and my background and my age, because it's not my age range music,
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
teenagers and you know people in the very early 20s, even people in
It'll be
the
shocking, but I'm not really that good at rapping. I don't.
you know, but how do you, because I know you would have worked with lots of young people who come in with all these different points of view, you know, how do you deal with this kind of with that kind of culture clash and stuff like that?
Well, I don't think it's usually different in the creative industry than anywhere else. I mean, there isn't a 19-year-old in the world that doesn't know everything and hasn't done everything.
Yeah,
So, okay, yeah, you do, and that's how we progress. That's how we move on. That's how we evolve. It's that energy comes in, and it's always those kids are crazy. They're growing their hair long, and they're like, they're all on drugs. I don't know what the hell. And you're like, do you want to go back to when you were right? Okay, so maybe there was a little bit of that going on. So yes, you have to do a filter. You have to know that it's going to be new and challenging and different, but it's not going to be wrong all the time. And
yeah.
so try and guide it a little bit just from that's you're going to fall off a cliff, which is fine. If you want to fall off a cliff, that's cool. But just know it's a cliff. That's all I'm saying. You want to jump, you jump. You'll either break your neck or you'll come back up and we'll talk about this again.
One of the things that you touched on that I really appreciated was not just that you need to build your network of trusted work relationships, but you also gave some really good tips, I think, on how to build that network by looking at the person's past work, by interacting with them and seeing if you all vibe and have that kind of common energy, you know, being in places where other creatives are. It's much tougher right now, but it's also easier because there's a lot of online.
Oh no, for sure, and that's that, to me. That's the takeaway from this adversity that we're all globally going through is there's a lot of pluses to it. There's a lot of things that are now possible that weren't even a year ago. Like the vast increase in social network platforms is what the hell? That happened like in 6 months. You know?
Like I just thought it was April. I'm like, what do you mean it's October next week? This week?
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's anyway. We got to start our own miniseries because this is obviously not fitting into an hour package here.
The last question I have for you is: would you recommend that a professional creative, at some points or maybe even many points in their career, actively seek like therapy for their mental health?
To me, anybody that is having any personal experience. I had one point, I don't know, about this was before I came to do Home Again, where that was it. I was done. I was out. I had to leave a job because I couldn't get out the door in the morning.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out the door. And I said, what the hell? I mean, with my life, what is my problem?
Yeah.
But it just did build up. So absolutely. And do it sooner than that.
Right.
Do it sooner than that. There should be absolutely zero. If you're going to go to the doctor because I think I've got the sniffles, go to the doctor because I'm feeling a little bit excessively depressed.
Yeah.
It's not, there should be nothing that keeps us from going to the professionals. And that's one of the really, really good things that we have here with the Directors Guild and ACTRA, which is the Actors Union, is there is a 24/7 helpline of counselors that's for free. That's all paid for by the industry.
Wow.
And it's gaining acceptance and popularity because there are more people, particularly in this industry, suffering from mental health issues than there are physical health issues, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, look at like cases, like Robin Williams, funniest guy in the world. Was he really?
Yeah.
And that's
should be nice. Say Robin around the world eating food,
Yeah. No, and absolutely. If there's things that are bothering you, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, go and get help. There's nobody that's immune to that.
Yeah.
And it'll make you better the next day. I mean, I came back, the same show then took me back to do second unit in Malta like 3 months later. Yeah. I thought I was done. I thought that was it. And no, here we are. We're still too stupid to quit. So.
But you took the time and you caught yourself. I think a lot of us struggled with making that decision.
No, for sure. It's not an easy one to do because it makes no sense.
Yeah, but taking that sense. Any kind of self-care, any time for self, I think as creatives, we really struggle with that because we have this idea, well, I love what I do, so that should be enough.
No, it's an extremely pressured industry, business, life choice that we've made to wander in here because there are no guidelines and there's very few safety nets. So use the ones that are available. For sure.
One of the things that I really appreciated was you talked a lot about self-validation and not about waiting or expecting other people to come and say, oh, here you are, you're wonderful, you're perfect. Here's the thing, here you're knighted,
I'm the only guy that knows if I've done a good job.
Yes.
I'm the only guy that knows.
And I really appreciate that. And I think that is crucial for creative mental health because
I agree. I totally agree.
While part of our work is being critiqued and seen and, being vulnerable, on the other hand, we spend so much time out there. We need to be able to self-validate. Last time we talked about self-soothing, right. I think we need, as creatives here in particular, we need to just realize what and who we are, what we're doing, and validate ourselves and tell everybody else, come on, is either you're getting on board or I'm moving on without you.
Right. But at the same time, be able to say to yourself, I didn't really do a very good job at that particular moment.
Oh yeah, that's a
And
big
that did not work. And because like 90% of what I do is, well, maybe not 90, but a large portion of it is performance art. You're out there, hey, it's all good and it's all wonderful and it's all great.
one.
Like, come on, let's go. And like, I feel like this is the stupidest thing I've ever said. But anyway,
One mantra, it's
yeah,
great.
and that is, I think, true of almost all of us in the business. Is you have to present in a way that you're not necessarily internally absolutely 100%
Well,
feeling,
I think
but
that
you have to know what you are 100% feeling.
I think that's your superpower, Kenny. I think that's your superpower. You walk reality. You
Can I get a cake?
decide it's all good. It's going to work out. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be fine. And then it is. Because when I'm out there, I don't know. And then when I walk into your sphere of influence and say, Kenny, such and such is the problem. And you're like, well, I'm sure you can work it out. You don't tell me how I know.
Well, and no, but that's another thing that I have learned over the years.
Yeah.
Is that when somebody comes to you with a problem, it's very easy to say, "Oh, well, get out of the way and here, let me do that."
Yes.
The better way that I have found over time is to go, "Yeah, you're right. That sucks. Well, maybe this or that, and now I'm not going to call the boss up above and say, "Oh, we got an issue." Let's just work on that for 5 minutes and come back to me and let's see. And so many of those situations do fix themselves without getting my oar in the water. You can ask Kat, and that doesn't always happen.
Well, that's always the thing too. We have our work self and our home self.
Right.
And that's two.
Yes.
There's
Jekyll and Hyde everywhere. Yeah.
A whole other conversation.
Yeah. That's that other series. Yeah.
Right? Ken, I want to stop here because if I don't stop here, we'll keep going for 6 more hours.
It's probably true.
And everything go dead. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Never, ever is it not fun to talk with you, and never, ever do I want to stop talking about Trinidad and Tobago creators because you guys are freaking awesome. Yes, there's things to work out. There's things to work out everywhere, but the passion and the heart and the abilities and talk about creative, the something out of nothing that you guys brought together, even just on Home Again and on Pan and on Bazadeh and on everything else that I've had the privilege to wander down for is like, well, there's a rabbit, and I never even saw the hat. Like, wow.
Work your obia can bring the magic. I can hear you walking. The love you have for us, we will have for ourselves. We will network. We will adapt. We will build our teams. We'll come with a positive attitude and no good boundaries. We'll have excellent problem-solving skills, and our industry is going to be magnificent.
Yes, and the last thing that you need to do is, which I'm sure is going to happen, is that they're going to figure out how to let all the tourists back by February so I can come down and warm up.
Keep pushing. You have this.
Exactly. I'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. We had a great time. I see a few of you stayed with us. I didn't put any of the comments on today. I do apologize. Sometimes I'm not the best techie in the world. I didn't have that part of the window open. I was looking at other things. I apologize. But thank you so much for your comments and your questions. I'll attempt to answer them in the comment section after this is saved to the page. Come and like and follow the Creative Business TT page this year and next year, most likely. We'll be focusing on mental health for creatives and the infrastructure, the environment for that. We've been talking to my friend and yours, Ken A. Smith, aka Kenny, as he has shared his over 40 years experience as a creative in Toronto and Trinidad and Tobago, and really enlightened me and I think all of us. So thanks a lot, Kenny.
Thank you so much, and major kudos to you, Loris, for getting this out there and carrying on. And certainly, if you look at the comments and questions, if there's anything that you want to forward to me, I would be more than happy to blather on for another hour.
Oh yeah, he's not hard to reach. All right,
thank you.
All right, bye, guys.